I'm going to show you on this session how to create grid lines for easily making shapes freehand, like pentagons, squares, things with really clean vertexes and corners. So if I come up here to File and go down to Document Properties, you have several tabs on these document properties. We're going to focus on the Grids tab. We're going to create, and I'm going to put 2 in so that I can show you what happens when we have a double grid. I'm going to set this one up the way that I want it. It depends on what you prefer to work in. If you prefer to work in inches, you can set it up in inches. I'm going to work in millimeters. My boards are approximately 0.2 inches thick. So in millimeters, that's about 5 millimeters, or 1/5 of an inch. And I'm going to put my major grid lines every 5 because that will make it approximately an inch. Now you see back here, you have this funny grid going on. That's because we have 2 grids overlaid. What I want to do is I want to take the one that I don't need and I'm just going to remove it. Now what I'm going to get is my grids here. I'm going to change this to about 80 so that I can see everything really well. And I'm going to change my major to where it's a little darker and I can distinguish between the two. And I'm going to drag it somewhere around 180. If you double click these, chances are it's going to go away and it will be behind here. So if you'll just drag this away, you'll be able to see that menu. What I'm going to do next is I am going to hit X so that I get rid of that property window. And you'll notice that I see my dark square and my lighter squares. My dark square represents approximately an inch, while the lighter ones represent about 1/5 of an inch. So if you needed to make something that was about 3 inches, then you're going to go over 3 squares. The next thing that I want to show you is whenever I zoom out, you're going to get rid of some of those lines if you get too far out. So all of these are going to just represent my inches. Now, if I want to see them, I'm going to have to zoom in. I want to come over here and make sure if I want to put my intersections as my vertices that my snap grid is on. I'm going to draw a square. And to draw a square, I am simply clicking and letting go. If I do not click the intersection where I stopped, you'll notice I get a break in the line. So I'm going to click it, I'm going to come over, click it, and then I'm going to click, and I'm going to click. Now I have a square, which I can also create with this square tool. Now this one is very easy to add nodes and to manipulate. So if I wanted to create a tab like I was creating a box, I can simply add nodes by double clicking the line once I select the nodes key and then dragging those nodes where I want those. Okay. If I try to select this one, the only way that I can actually select and add nodes is if I use my eraser tool. That's going to give me a lot of nodes in this area. And now I can add and take away nodes as I need to. So what you'll notice is I selected those, and what I did was I made sure that I hit delete. Now when you do this, sometimes you're going to get a curve. If you want a straight line, you're going to have to mess with these handles rather than the regular node. So I like to do it on this shape because it's a lot easier to manipulate, but you can do it by using the erase tool to create nodes. and you just will have to mess with the handles and making everything how you want it. So it's a lot more difficult. So instead of doing that, there's also another way to create tabs on a box such as this, and that is to create a second rectangle, which is going to cut off if I leave it like this. But I can select both figures, come up here to Path, Union, and I want to make sure that is down in here, so when it unionizes them, it doesn't think that these are two separate shapes. So it's going to put them both together. Then you have the same type of shape, and that was fairly easy. If you need something that's a little less of a square or a rectangle shape, it's going to be a lot easier to do this and freehand it rather than trying to add your shape and merge it together. But either way will work just fine. I'm going to get rid of these, and I'm going to show you how to draw a curved line. If I want to draw a curved line, wherever I want the intersection to be, it is not going to come all the way up to here. It's going to curve at this point. So if I want to round a corner, if I'm making the edge round, and maybe I don't want to go any further than this, I just want to round the edge, I'm going to click up here, and then I'm going to come down here. Instead of left clicking, I'm going to right click, and it's going to create that line. Now if I wanted to make like a car or something, then I can create this shape pretty easily. If I want my line to be in the middle and I don't want it to snap, I'm going to have to come up here to this snap grid, and I'm going to have to turn it off. Now it allows me to click anywhere I want without being on an intersection. The intersection is fantastic when you need it directly on these places. However, it is not fantastic if you need to be able to adjust something or move something and it wants to snap to those corners. So you can turn on and off this. It's really easy to turn it on and off. So if you wanted this to snap, but you wanted to come down here and put it in the middle, then I could turn that snap grid off. So it just depends on what you're trying to create, on whether you want the snap grid on or off. I'm going to hit delete. Anytime I want to delete something, I can just select over all of it and I can click delete. If I want to get rid of nodes, I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So if I draw out my square and I create the tab, now I can also draw the tab on here. So if I wanted to go ahead and draw the tab, I can come out here and draw it as I go. If I figure out that I want to add it in later, then I have that option as well. But I'm going to show you how to add and to delete nodes. So if I add several nodes, and I decide that I do not need them, I'm going to click one of them and you're going to hit delete. Or if I need to delete multiple, I can click, hold the shift key and click that again, and it's going to select both. You'll notice both are blue, and I can hit delete. If I have two together or three together, I can select over all of them using the nodes key and click delete. So you have several options here on deleting nodes. And that's how you use the freehand and your curve tool.